TSA liquid rules for 2026 come with plenty of updates, surprising bans, and exceptions that every traveler should know in today's video. We'll be walking through the 311 rule, uncover surprising liquids that are banned, explain a new rule that's catching travelers off guard, and share one of the best free tools to make packing for TSA a whole lot easier, something you probably didn't even know existed. Let's start by breaking down the 311 rule. That is a key guideline by the TSA and regulates the amount of liquids that you can bring in your carry-on luggage through airport security. And before you roll your eyes thinking, who doesn't already know this, according to the TSA's Instagram page, which, by the way, is both hilarious and super helpful. Over 130 million travelers left full water bottles in their carry-on in 2024. So it would appear that there are at least 130 million travelers that could benefit from a reminder, as it will save you from delays and luggage searches as you go through security. That's right, 130 million people. That's not a small number. That's basically the entire population of Japan forgetting to dump out their water bottles before going through security. And those delays don't just affect you. They slow down the entire line behind you, which is why TSA officers really appreciate it when you come prepared. The number 3 in TSA's 311 rule stands for 3.4 Oz, or 100 millinol per container, meaning that any liquid gel or aerosol must be in a container that is sized 3.4 Oz or smaller. The rule applies to the container size, not the amount inside. So, for example, this tube of toothpaste, even though it's only half full, is inside of a 4 Oz container, which means it would not be allowed since it is larger than 3.4 Oz. This is one of the most common misconceptions that trips people up. They think if there's only a little bit left in a big bottle, it should be fine. But TSA doesn't care how much product is actually inside. They care about what the container says on the label. So if you have a 6 Oz shampoo bottle that's nearly empty, you still can't bring it through security unless you transfer it to a smaller container first. If it can spray, spread, pour, spill pump, or smear, or if it can't hold its shape outside of the container, it's likely going to be considered a liquid by TSA. This includes things you might not immediately think of as liquids: peanut butter, Nutella, honey, jam, yogurt, hummus, salsa, and even spreadable cheese all count as liquids. If you can spread it on a cracker or a piece of bread, TSA considers it a liquid. The same goes for things like lip gloss, mascara, and liquid foundation. Even though they feel solid or creamy, they fall under the liquid category. The first one refers to the quart-sized, transparent, resealable bag that holds your liquid. This bag needs to be clear so that TSA officers can easily check the content. The total volume of the liquids in this bag is typically capped by how much you can physically fit. Travelers often use Ziploc bags or similar products designed for sandwiches, or they'll grab a reusable liquids bag, which are widely accepted in North America. But they might cause some issues internationally. In some European countries and other international airports, the bag requirements can be more strict. They may specify exact dimensions like 8 inches by 8 inches or insist on a certain type of closure. So if you travel internationally frequently, it's worth keeping a couple of standard quart-sized bags on hand just in case your reusable one doesn't meet their specific requirements. Let us know down in the comments if you have ever had to get rid of something at airport security because it violated the TSA's liquid rules. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, as it's a free way to support the channel. And make sure that you never miss out on a travel tip. Like this one, I'll always try to scope out and stock up on quart-sized liquid bags available for free at the entrance of the security line at some airports. It's great to have them on hand so I can properly pack my liquids at home before heading to the airport. But I also end up using them during my trip for things like storing a soap bar, wet swimwear, or even a pair of dirty socks. Seriously, these bags are so versatile. I've used them to separate dirty clothes from clean ones, to store snacks, to keep charging cables organized, and even to protect my phone from water when I'm near a pool or beach. They're lightweight, they don't take up any space, and they're basically free. So whenever I see them at an airport, I grab a handful. The second one in the 311 rule indicates each traveler is allowed only one liquid bag. If you are packing more liquids than can fit in one single quart-size bag, They'll need to go into your checked baggage if you're traveling with others who may not be using their full liquid allowance, like a travel partner or a child. You can distribute your extra items across their bag. This is a really smart strategy, especially if you're someone with an extensive skincare routine, or if you need multiple products for medical reasons. Kids often don't use their full liquid allowance, so parents can take advantage of that extra space. Just make sure that whoever is carrying the bag knows what's in it in case TSA asks questions. If your skincare routine looks like mine and your partner's looks like this, then you can always use part of your partner's liquid allowance as you go through security. My partner literally travels with a tiny bar of soap, and that's it, while I'm over here with toner, serum, moisturizer, sunscreen, and about 5 other things. So yeah, I definitely borrow some of that unused space in their liquid bag. And honestly, TSA doesn't care whose products are in whose bag, as long as each person only has one bag total. If you do go over the 311 limit, your bag will likely trigger an alarm and get flagged for a search. A TSA officer will then ask you to remove any extra liquids, and anything that's over the limit will need to be thrown away or moved to your checked baggage. But by the time that you make it to airport security, your checked bag has already been checked in. So make sure you plan ahead to avoid having to throw anything away. I've seen people have to toss brand new bottles of expensive perfume, full-size luxury skincare products, and even bottles of wine they bought at duty-free in another country because they didn't realize the rules had changed. It's heartbreaking to watch, and it's completely avoidable with just a little bit of planning. Despite the TSA's strict 311 rule, there are exceptions for certain full-size liquid items which you can bring through security in greater quantities. The first exception is for prescription medications, including liquid medications that are stored in pre-filled pens or syringes. Like Ozempic, other prescriptions can include creams, like steroid creams used to treat things like psoriasis, eczema, and dermatitis. Remember to always keep prescriptions in their original labeled containers to avoid any issues. If your prescription is in a generic pharmacy bottle without your name on it, or if you've transferred it to a travel-sized container, you could run into problems. TSA may ask you to prove that the medication is yours and that it's prescribed. Having the pharmacy label with your name, the doctor's name, and the prescription details makes this process so much smoother. Another exception would be for over-the-counter medications like saline solution, for contacts, cold medicine like Dayquil or cough syrup, and liquid nutrition like Ensure medical gels and creams are also accepted in larger quantities, and this can include things like hydrocortisone cream, antibiotic ointments like Neosporin topical pain relief gels like Icy Hot and Voltaren aloe vera gel, and over-the-counter eczema treatments like Aquaphor or CeraV healing ointment. These are all considered medically necessary, so TSA allows them in reasonable quantities. You don't need a prescription for these, but you do need to declare them at security and be prepared for them to be inspected. One more notable exception would be for infant and child nourishment. This could include breast milk, baby formula, and even juice boxes for children. Ice packs and other things required to preserve any of these medically necessary items are also allowed. Parents traveling with babies or toddlers can bring as much formula, breast milk, or baby food as they need for the trip, even if it exceeds 3.4 Oz per container. You don't need to have your child with you to bring these items either. If you're a breastfeeding parent traveling without your baby, you can still bring breast milk through security. Ice packs are allowed as long as they are frozen solid at the time you go through the checkpoint. If they've started to melt and there's liquid sloshing around, TSA may not allow them. If you are carrying any of these items in a container size that is larger than 3.4 Oz, then you will need to declare them to a TSA officer at security. Let the TSA officer know, take them out of your bag, and then place them in a screening bin for inspection. While the process is typically quick, these items may require additional screening. So plan for a little extra time, just in case the checkpoint is busy. The key word here is declare. Don't try to hide these items or hope they won't notice. TSA officers see thousands of bags every day. They know what to look for. Being upfront and cooperative makes the process faster and less stressful for everyone involved. An important update to the TSA liquid rules is that the temporary rule allowing passengers to carry up to 12 Oz of hand sanitizer has ended. Hand sanitizer now falls under the 3.4 Oz rule, and it must fit inside your quart-size liquids bag. Even those tiny clip-on hand sanitizers need to be removed from your bag and packed in your liquid bag. This is a change that caught a lot of people off guard in early 2026. During the pandemic, TSA made an exception and allowed travelers to bring larger bottles of hand sanitizer. But now that the temporary rule has expired, those big bottles of Purell that people got used to carrying are no longer allowed. So if you've been traveling with a large hand sanitizer bottle clipped to your backpack, it's time to switch to a travel-sized version. Changing rules like this can be confusing, since despite what's listed on the TSA website, the rules can vary by airport, by day, or even by hour. This unpredictability is intentional, as it's designed to make it harder for criminals or terrorists to anticipate security procedures. Unfortunately for you, this means that you will need to be prepared for the unexpected every single time you go through the airport security checkpoint. What might fly at one airport could get flagged at another. And even at the same airport, different TSA officers may interpret the rules slightly differently. It's frustrating, but it's the reality of air travel. The best thing you can do is follow the rules as strictly as possible and be polite and patient if you get pulled aside for additional screening. Even with TSA pre-check, you might still be asked to remove your liquids bag depending on the staff or the technology that is being used at the time that you go through the airport security checkpoint. Some airports have newer CT scanners that allow you to leave your liquids and electronics in your bag even if you don't have TSA pre-check. But other airports are still using older X-ray machines that require everyone to pull out their liquids. And even if you have pre-check, there's no guarantee that you won't be randomly selected for additional screening. It happens. So always be prepared to take out your liquids bag, even if you think you don't have to. That being said, no matter who your TSA officer is, there are certain liquids that are completely banned with no exceptions, no matter what the quantity is. Ultimately, what you can bring and what you can't bring is going to be at the discretion of the specific TSA officer that is screening you. These TSA-banned liquids include toxic chemicals like pesticides, bleach cleaning agents, or any corrosive substances. It also includes self-defense sprays like bear spray mace or pepper spray, as well as flammable liquids like lighter fluid camping fuel propane and spray paint. You also cannot bring any high-proof alcohol, which includes anything 70% ABV or over, and examples can include grain alcohol like Everclear or 151 proof rum. These items are not just banned in carry-on luggage. Many of them are also banned in checked baggage because they pose a serious safety risk to the aircraft. So if you're planning to bring any kind of cleaning product, fuel, or high-proof alcohol, check the TSA website first or contact your airline directly. I gave a ton of examples here because I know how reassuring it is to have the exact item that you are questioning given a yes or a no. But since I can't possibly list everything, because let's be real, who wants to sit through that video? This seems like the perfect time to share one of the most underrated tools for stress-free packing. Ask TSA if you're ever unsure about whether an item is allowed. Ask TSA makes it super easy to get answers directly from TSA. You can send them a photo of your item or even the Amazon link of an item that you're planning on purchasing. And an actual TSA agent will give you a personalized response. It's as simple as reaching out via Instagram, DMS, Facebook, Messenger, text, or even on X. It's quick, helpful, and a total lifesaver for avoiding any last-minute surprises at security. And the response time is usually pretty fast, often within a few hours. I've used this service multiple times, and it's always been incredibly helpful. I most recently asked about gel shoe inserts, since they contain an unspecified amount of gel, which is considered a liquid. And it turns out that the answer is yes. Gel shoe inserts are allowed through security. You can ask about anything, even something as random as TSA's policy on bringing ice in your carry-on, which apparently quite a few people did in 2024. People have asked about the weirdest things. Can I bring a snow globe? Can I bring a lava lamp? Can I bring a jar of my grandmother's homemade pickles? and TSA answers every single one. It's honestly one of the most helpful services they offer. Remember the Instagram post I mentioned earlier? While that same post showed that a surprising number of people have asked if spaghetti can go through airport security, the answer is yes, as long as the sauce is not separate from the noodles. If the sauce is mixed in with the noodles, it's considered a solid food item and it's allowed. But if the sauce is in a separate container, it counts as a liquid and it needs to follow the 3.4 Oz rule. So basically, if you're bringing leftover pasta, make sure it's all mixed together before you pack it. While questions like the spaghetti policy and if you can bring a microwave as a carry-on are pretty funny, it's the medication rules where things get serious. You might be shocked to learn that some common medications prescribed in the U.S., like Adderall for ADHD, are perfectly fine to go through TSA security, but they're highly illegal in some of the countries that you might be traveling to, such as Japan, where Adderall is illegal, even with a prescription. This is a really important point that a lot of travelers overlook. Just because TSA allows you to fly with a medication doesn't mean it's legal at your destination. Countries have their own laws about controlled substances, and some medications that are completely legal and commonly prescribed in the United States are banned in other countries. Before you travel internationally with any prescription medication, check the laws of your destination country. On a similar note, liquid and pill cold medications, like certain types of Sudafed, which contains pseudoephedrine, are prohibited in Japan, and traveling with it could land you in serious trouble. For a full breakdown on traveling with medications, whether they are a liquid or not, I will put a video up on the screen now, as well as link it down in the description for you to watch next. This is not something to take lightly. People have been detained, fined, and even arrested for bringing medications into countries where they are banned. So do your research, contact the embassy or consulate of the country you're visiting, and if necessary, get a letter from your doctor explaining why you need the medication. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join us back here for more travel tips and hacks each week, and I will see you in that next video soon. Bye.